What does it mean to be enslaved? To be enslaved means someone has lost their freedom. This can be expressed by not allowing someone to do what they want or have the same rights as you do. In the mid 1800s, the movement to end slavery or abolition began to move forward and develop in the United States, says the background document. What actions people should have taken to eliminate slavery has been debated upon over the years. The most popular argument was made by William Whipper, who supported moral persuasion, and Henry Highland Garnet, who agreed to take aggressive action. Henry Highland Garnet had the most effective way to free enslaved people before the Civil War, which was to take aggressive action, because nonviolent action didn't change people's minds and because the slave owners were violent to slaves. First, the most effective way to free enslaved people before the Civil War was to take aggressive action, because previous nonviolent action didn't cause any change. According to Henry Highland Garnet, resistance. No oppressed people have ever secured their liberty without resistance. If people have failed with previous attempts of freedom through speech, we should continue to put other more aggressive actions under consideration. According to Henry Highland Garnet's speech, as a result of Vesey's threatening plan, the slave states have seriously considered freeing the slaves. This shows proof that aggressive action has succeeded in causing people to change their behavior. People didn't want to end this issue doing things such as rioting or threatening slave owners, but when the slaves looked at how much time had gone by without change, they had no other choice but to take these actions. Second, the most effective way to free enslaved people before the Civil War was to take aggressive action, because people were violent to slaves. According to Henry Highland Garnet's speech, brothers, your oppressors try to make you as much like animals as possible. If they treated them like animals, then the enslaved had reason to fight back like animals. For years, not fighting back didn't change their condition. They were still enslaved. According to Henry Highland Garnet's speech, you cannot suffer greater cruelties than you have already. It is better to die as free men than to live as slaves. Fighting back, even if they died, gave them some freedom because it was their choice to fight. In death, they would no longer be enslaved and no longer beaten. In contrast to the argument for aggressive action, moral persuasion assumes that people are inherently good and have high morals, and that people will change their opinion with sound logic. According to William Whipper's speech, we must support one common cause by spreading our influence for the good of mankind. The problem with this statement is that slave owners did not see slaves as men. According to the William Whipper speech, we must continue calmly onward with self-denial, patience, and perseverance. Wouldn't self-denial add more mental pain to the physical pain that the slaves already experienced? In summation, the most effective way to free enslaved people before the Civil War was to take aggressive action, because nonviolent action didn't change people's minds, and because slave owners were violent to slaves who they did not see as people. William Whipper's point of view tended to be more biblical, whereas Henry Highland Garnet's point of view was more factual. While William Whipper referred to the Bible in his speech, moral persuasion could not be effective when slave owners saw slaves as animals, not human beings. Henry Highland Garnet's point of view would force slaves to really see what their actions feel like and what the consequences were for their actions.